Good morning, welcome back to Bumble Stitches Vlogmas. My name's Nicola and today is Thursday, December the 17th. So it's beautiful and sunny. As you can see by how bright it is here, and I've had to do my little trick of trying to shade some of the sun so I can actually see you and you can see me. But I hope you're all well, and thank you once again for all yesterday's lovely comments. When I was editing yesterday's video, I was actually saying to myself, Nicola, just calm down and take a deep breath. I was getting really quite het up about things, and you just have to take a step back sometimes, don't you, and think, is the world going to end if some of these things don't get done? And the answer is no, it really isn't. And it's funny because I was sharing with you my my Mrs. Hinch book of lists that I use, which incidentally has now got lots of things in it ready. And I was on Instagram last night, and in Mrs. Hinch's stories she did a little story about not having got certain things done, and the fact that it's absolutely okay, it's fine, don't worry about it. So yeah, I'm much calmer today. I think partly because I have made those lists, and it's kind of like a brain dump, isn't it? You can just get everything that's swirling around that you're trying to remember. Once it's down on paper, you know you're not going to forget. And also, yeah, that realisation that the earth won't come to some sort of shattering halt because I haven't done a certain thing. So yes, thank you for your comments though, they were very welcome. So the rest of yesterday, apart from writing my lists, I did a little cross stitch finish, which if you follow me on Instagram you will have seen already. I'll share it with you in just a second. And I actually just took time out to have a cup of tea, watch some floss tube, did a bit of stitching, and that did me a huge amount of good. So yes, on with today. I will share my advents with you first. I think we'll break things up a little bit today. Let's have one of the advents, because I've got two today. It's a double advent day. I have got number 9 from Jules, So Sweet Violet. I'm going to do that one first before we do the stitchery. Okay. And let's have a little look in here. Oh, very pretty indeed. Some really rather cute, if you can see them, sort of paper holding bulldog clips, but these rather snazzy gold ones. So if you can see those, one large and two small. Now they're going to be great for keeping your knitting patterns or cross stitch charts or anything like that in place. So I think they'd be really useful. And also I'm going to put one straight away, I'm going to pop one of those in my list book so I can keep my page open. So there you are, popped one straight on there. Lovely, what a cool little gift. Okay, my finish that I did yesterday, my cross stitch finish, was, I showed you my fabrics and bits and pieces. That was for the Stitching with the Housewives snow delivery cross stitch that I finished. It's just a small, and as you know, if you've been following along with my Vlogmas, you'll know that the glue gun died. It was a sudden death though, it wasn't, you know, lingering or anything like that the other day. And the finish that I did intend to do with this cross stitch piece was to do something like an ornament on some foam core board and cover it with fabric and that kind of thing. But I thought, well, let's do something different since you haven't got the glue gun to do that with. So I made this little pillow, and you can see I've finished it off with some rickrack around the edge, just peeping out, just a small rickrack. Some leftover Christmas fabric, and I think, yes, I'm right, it's actually the binding, what was left over from this quilt. So yes, that's gone to good use. Just finished it off on the back with a couple of little felt patches and the same fabric and the pom-pom trim, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So yeah, and it's got it finished, so otherwise it was just sitting in the hoop in the project bag and not really doing much good at all. So yeah, nice to get a little finish done. Let's pop that down, and I'll do the Stitchery Advent now, which is 17. I'll have to hold it this side because otherwise the sun is getting it. Something soft today in here. And okay, it is a scrap pack of antique linen, perfect for patchwork, stamping and slow stitching. So it's just a small bundle of you can see there's quite a lot of pieces in there. It'd be nice for little small sort of embroidered ornaments and bits and pieces like that, making tags and stuff like that. So really useful and so prettily presented. That's what I'm really enjoying about both my Advents, how nicely everything's presented. So absolutely gorgeous. Right, today I've got a few sort of life admin sort of things to do, some emails to send and stuff like that. So I'm going to get those out of the way because that's really boring, isn't it? And then this afternoon, you'll be pleased to hear I'm heading back in the kitchen. So I will try and share some bits and pieces of that with you. The intention is to make some cheese scones for Justin. They are his absolute favourite. And I'd also like to get my mince pies baked for Christmas because they freeze really, really well. So I would normally bake them, keep a few out just for, you know, incidental nibbling between now and Christmas, and pop the rest in the freezer. So I'll share a bit more about that later on today. Just got my Delia book out, the one I showed you the other day, Delia's Happy Christmas, for the mince pie recipe. Now in previous years I have been really cheaty and I've used both pre-prepared mincemeat and ready rolled pastry, but this year I'm going to make the pastry, so I thought I'd refresh my memory. So I've got Delia's recipe out, as you can see. Now I'm still being a little bit cheaty because I have got from good old M&S a jar of mincemeat. When I got this out of the cupboard this morning, it reminded me that the other day somebody had actually asked what is a mince pie, and I'm pretty sure mince pies are quite well known, but maybe not so much all around the world. So for those of you that don't know, and also it's quite interesting because it's called mincemeat and it does automatically make you think that it's got meat in it. Well, okay, according to Wikipedia, the name mincemeat comes from back in the Middle Ages. Mincemeat was a mixture of either beef or venison meat mixed with fruits and spices. And I'm assuming that was because obviously there was no way of preserving meat properly in those days. And if the meat was a little bit not quite as fresh as it could be, then the spices and the fruit would disguise any sort of smell or taste that they didn't particularly want. So that's how it started out. And as time progressed, more and more of the sweet element was added to it, so more sugar and more fruits, eventually the meat being left out, so it became more of a sort of a dessert item rather than a savoury item. Now the mincemeat that we know today, you can make it, and in fact, good old Delia, who is like the patron saint of all Christmas cooking, has got a recipe here for homemade mincemeat, and you can see there. And the ingredients include things like chopped and cored Bramley apples, cooking apples, shredded suet, raisins, sultanas, currants, all the dried fruits, things like that, candied peel, brown sugar, zest and juice of oranges and lemons, almonds, spices, cinnamon, and some brandy. So all this is amalgamated, as you can see, like that. So it's literally like Christmas in a bowl. All those proper Christmassy flavours and smells and aromas are all in there. Yeah, and then it's pretty much made like a jam, I guess. I haven't read all the way through, so I've never actually made my own mincemeat. I am a bit of a lazy mince pie maker, so I buy mine in M&S. But this has essentially got all the same ingredients in it. And you just basically make some pastry, as if you're making jam tarts or any sort of pies. And then just pop your mincemeat in and bake it in the oven. And it is delicious. Well, I think it is. So that's what I'll be aiming for later. But I just thought, you know, if you know about mincemeat, you know, and if you don't, it's a bit of a mystery. You think, what on earth is that thing that, you know, people are eating? So I just thought I'd share that with you before I head off into the kitchen to make the mince pies.